Well, hello there, welcome along to another 1000 Greatest Vinyl videos coming from this wall of records behind me. And today I thought we'd go for some artists that really should be in this list and haven't been as yet. And the first one up, without further ado, I've decided to pick a Genesis album. Now, this is probably not one of the more well-known ones, and Genesis can be considered as being almost two groups, in that you've got post Peter Gabriel and with Peter Gabriel, and this album is very much with Peter Gabriel, and it's very much of the prog rock kind of era in the 1970s. And I've picked Selling England by the Pound, and we've got this very nice, almost cartoony cover, done as if it's a picture with quite stylised people. It very much reminds me of some of the artwork that my in-laws actually have on their wall in their house. But we've got some of the epic tracks, complete with keyboard solos and all the sorts of things that Genesis were known for in the early years. Now, on this album, we've got tracks like the Battle of Epping Forest, and I love this track. It's actually quite a long one. And back in the days when I used to DJ on the radio, it used to be one of the tracks that I'd used for a feature that I had called The Uninterrupted One in a Row, which was where I'd play long versions of songs. Sometimes they were album tracks, sometimes they were the album versions of singles, and it kind of allowed me to go to the toilet whilst the record was playing. But Battle of Epping Forest was one of these, and it's a great track. Now, we've got Phil Collins doing drums, percussion and vocal, Michael Rutherford, 12-string bass, electric sitar, Stephen Hackett, electric guitar, nylon guitar, Tony Banks, keyboards, 12-string, and Peter Gabriel, main vocals, flute, oboe, percussion, and this really was a star of the prog rock era. I don't think there's particularly any tracks on here that would stand out singles, but the package as a whole was such a great album that you just stick it on, listen to it play, and certainly well deserving of being in these 1000 Greatest Vinyl Records. It came out on the famous Charisma label, and this is the same label that was shared by artists such as Monty Python. All their records were released on it, and I think it was subsequently subsumed into the Virgin Empire, but I could be wrong on that. Now, the next album that I've picked is a group that I have a few albums by them, but this very much stood out head and shoulders above any of their other releases at the time. And this is a group called The Sundays, and the album I've picked is Static and Silence. Front cover image, quite simple, quite eye-catching. We've got this dark midnight blue with an enlarged picture of the moon, and we can see quite a bit of detail on there. We've got the Static and Silence, The Sundays written on there, and on the back, it's probably in keeping with these 1990s sort of, I don't want to really say hipster, but kind of more underground group releases. We've just got this sort of nondescript picture. I think it's a tree taken at night, but zoomed in close into the branches. And then we've got simple track listing there, the A-side, the B-side, and a little bit of copyright information, but not really much at all. And this was an album, I think it came out in about 1997, and this was on the Parlophone label of EMI, which was at the time home to a lot of really quite good groups, Radiohead being another one of those. And on this we've got Summertime was a single that I remember in the charts, and also I think Another Flavour may also have been a single. I don't think they did particularly well in the charts. They certainly graced the charts, but we're not talking number ones here. But it's certainly an album that is dated very, very well. Now, the vocals are almost childlike, and it's a group that kind of says everything that there was to say about the indie underground scene of the late 1990s. In the packaging, we've got a proper inner sleeve that again has more pictures there. We've got the moon and that tree, which featured more close-up on the back cover. But then on the other side, We've got a full lyrics of all the tracks. Quite nice little package there. And I just love this sort of happy, feel-good music that did come out in the 1990s. I've got their previous album. I wouldn't say it was as good, but certainly this is deserving of being in the top 1000 final albums. Now, the last of this trio that I've picked, we're going back a little bit further here, and we've got Tears for Fears and the Seeds of Love. Now, I've got a few Tears for Fears albums, and Tears for Fears are a group that are consistently very, very good. And you probably recognise a lot of the well-known tracks from, they still get radio play today. But this album, I always described it in my time on radio as being very Beatles-esque. And that is, if you've listened to stuff like Magical Mystery Tour or Sgt. Pepper's, this album feels a lot like it's been heavily inspired by that kind of psychedelic 1960s happy, feel-good, happy-go-lucky stuff. And we've got this very busy late 80s typical artwork, and we've got the band members there. But then there's all this sort of cut and paste, lots of weird stuff going on there, and we've got this sort of happy Inca sun god type logo in the middle, which again is repeated on the back with these stylized tracks, names of the tracks coming out as if they're rays from the sun. Other than that, on the back it's very, very plain blue there, and well, there's not really much else to say about the packaging. On the inside, it's a papery sleeve, but it does have a lot of printing on, and we've got the basic credits, and we've got the lyric lists there, so you can learn the lyrics and sing along. And, well, big name tracks on this. Let's have a look. Well, certainly Sowing the Seeds of Love. Again, it's another track which I used to use my uninterrupted one in a row feature on the radio a long, long time ago now. But that's also the track that you'll hear now being played on the radio. A great track. The other tracks on this album really out of a similar vein. A very, very good package, and certainly well deserving to be the first Tears for Fears album that I've introduced into this 1000 Greatest Vinyl videos. Well, we've kind of glossed over those, but certainly it's well worth going away and looking up these three albums. The Genesis Selling England by the Pound, the Sundays Static and Silence, and also the Tears for Fears album, Seeds of Love. They're all worth a listen. You could probably find a lot of the material from them on YouTube, and certainly any tracks that you really like, you can go out there and find that on your musical download site of choice. But of course, the perfect way to enjoy any of these albums is to track them down on vinyl, and certainly the Genesis album and the Tears for Fears album can be found quite cheaply second-hand in a lot of record shops or on online auction sites. The Sundays album, it dates from a time when vinyl was kind of going through a kind of a death throw period, and it was only the die-hard fans such as myself that were still buying the format, so that might be a difficult one to track down. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed these three albums here on this 1000 Greatest Vinyl videos. Don't forget to like this video, share it too, and subscribe to the channel. This is me, Jenny Kirk, saying until next time, bye for now.